Well, a guy scored another pretty hot deal off Marketplace the other day. This here is a 2001 Polaris Sportsman 500 HO. It runs and drives. It does not charge. Originally, I kind of preemptively ordered parts before I even actually paid the guy and went and picked it up. But originally, I kind of figured it had probably had the magnets on the factory flywheel fall off and take the stator out. These from the factory would have had, I believe, 2 magnets that are glued to the inside of the flywheel. And, you know, over the last, 24 years, that glue breaks down and magnets have a tendency to fall off and take your stator with it. I'll add in a picture. But before I actually pulled it off the trailer, paid the guy, drove it on the trailer, pulled it home. Didn't really ride it or anything too much when I was over there, but after I got it back to the house, before I pulled it off the trailer, I was kind of looking things over, and I noticed down here on the front of the radiator, those two, a yellow and red tracer wires, which are what I believe from the stator. They went into this guy, which is your voltage regulator. Well, the 2 yellows, or yellow and red tracer, were disconnected, just chilling there. Well, those are your wires from said stator, so no kidding it's not charging, right? Well, as you can see, I did plug those back in and try to run it, and nuke the voltage regulator. So I don't know if that was a failure from these terminals shorting out on the rad, or if it was something from inside the stator. But being that I have a new stator, flywheel, and voltage regulator, that's what we're doing tonight. So hang around and we will get after it. So for time's sake, I went ahead and removed the right side footwell off camera, just because, you know, handful of nuts and bolts. Not the most exciting thing to watch. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes here. Other thing I didn't mention, I did order a new recoil rope and a whole new spring, a whole assembly to, or not assembly, but a whole kit to rebuild my recoil starter, since the rope broke. That has not arrived yet, so we're going to try to put our stator and all that in and maybe get a run this thing tonight and test its charging system without that recoil housing on there. I'm not sure what it looks like underneath. I don't know if we'll be able to do that or not, but we're going to find out. Let's get this thing out of there. Is that a bolt? That's a bolt. Is that all of them? Sure is. Okay, so that has to lift up over the brake lever. And that whole recoil starter housing comes out. Simple enough. Okay. Let me figure out what size nut that is, get our special puller all set up, and we'll pull a flywheel. Rather than firing up the air compressor right now, it's kind of late at night, Simply took a pry bar between these fins that hang off, just wedged that between two of those, and what is that, 22 millimeter socket, broke the nut loose, wound that off. Simple enough. I wasn't too concerned if I break those because I'm replacing the flywheel anyway, so not a huge deal. As far as our puller, it is China, Amazon special. Simple enough. It's got 6 slots, a jack screw, and 3 screws that will mount into that. Probably helps if you put it in there the correct direction too. Get the best purchase on it. So we got 3 bolts. They have 14 millimeter head on them. And 3 washers. Whole idea here is just to run these in even depth. Oh, actually, run them in until they bottom out. There you go. All right, turn our jack screw in up against the crankshaft here. Wow, it's already tight. Hasn't even gone through it. It's a quality Chinese parts. Precision threads. Now we'll just tighten that until the, well, hold the flywheel. Tighten that until it pulls the flywheel off. Am I gonna need my pry bar? Steady that thing. Wow. That is absolutely tighter than I would have expected. So now what we're going to do, since I got quite a bit of pressure on that, and I don't trust my Chinese puller to not just snap into two, we'll get a hammer, baby sledge, sorry, engineer hammer, and we'll smack the flywheel and hopefully she'll pop off. There it is. Oh wow, she's already been upgraded. Oh no, she hasn't. Yeah, it has. That's an upgraded flywheel. Yeah. See, this is actually got a metal ring. Inside this metal ring, there's actually multiple magnets on these rather than just the 2. Yeah, that's an upgraded one. I'm sure they did the stator as well, but some metal in here. That must be off the starter into the, yeah, chewing up the ring gear a little bit. Okay, well, we have the parts, so make sure your woodruff key doesn't fall out. That's kind of important. That's what's going to index your flywheel. From there, where are we at? I'm gonna go ahead and we got what, 3 Phillips heads? Knock those out. And then we'll start pulling the harness for the stator out. Man, that stator looks awfully new too, doesn't it? It may be fine. It may have very well been that stator being unplugged up at the regulator that caused this issue for that regulator to melt down. I don't know. It may have been shorting out this whole time, and I'm not entirely sure. We're gonna find out. Cheap enough parts. Granted, yeah, they're not factory parts, but this is something I'm fixing to resell. And unfortunately, with the factory parts on these, factory flywheel is no longer available. And if it was an issue to start, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense replacing it with a factory one when the Chinese aftermarket one is actually superior. So we're unscrewing the pickup coil here. That's just 2 Phillips head screws. Here's a pickup coil, stator, you got this grommet. What'd they do, silicone that thing? You know what else I just realized? They did silicone it. Yeah, they just silicone gasketed it. That makes things a bigger pain in the ass for the next guy, but I actually ordered a paper gasket for it. Yeah, that's in there. So there we go. Oh, there's also a little ground, case ground behind that stator. Another small Phillips head. The smallest of the bunch. Pickup coil strap falling off. So this part's gonna be, you're gonna figure it out on your own because it's a maze on how this harness is routed. It goes up to the front of the machine, up near the radiator where I previously showed you that the regulator is mounted. So I'll fish that out and get back with you. All right, we finally routed the new harness up to the front here. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not a good time. To do it how they had it from the factory, you'd likely have to pull the tank and the front fenders. I actually routed it probably a more intelligent way than how they had it, as far as I'm concerned. They had it was routed in such a way that it was so snug right up at your voltage regulator leads that I kind of wonder if it came undone in the first place just riding it around in the woods. I'm kind of assuming that's probably what happened. There was just so much tension on it that they popped loose because they're just 2 bullet connectors. So we've got these 2 bullet connectors. We have this 2-pin connection, a white-red tracer, and a solid white. And then we have this 2-pin connection, which is a red wire, a black wire. On the factory harness, it's a red, and then a black with a red tracer. Then we have our ground that comes in here and mounts right here. And it's tagged into this wire, which had a female spade connection on the end of it. Originally, I'm guessing this is a CDI box. Originally, the wire came out of that box and had a ring terminal that shared that same grounding location. But being that this was spliced, as this replacement harness for this stator, I went ahead and just put a male spade connection on the end of that, cut that eyelet off, put a male spade connection on it. Good to go. So that's where we stand now. I'm gonna get this plastic back on. I also pulled the air box, the clutch housing intake, or is that the, I'm gonna assume that's the intake for it. Had to pull both those out. I'll go ahead and put that back in. Then we'll move on to reinstalling our flywheel. And I still yet gotta mount, it's just 2 screws right up here. Gotta mount our new regulator, and I'll plug that in. Well, the battery on the camera ended up dying the other night. I did finish up installing the voltage regulator and put the front end back together. I did leave the footwell off. I did re-hook up the one steering piece of steering linkage that I had off. This guy, just so I could drive around, test it out. I'm gonna have to pop that back off to do the whole recoil rope when that stuff gets here. Should be here tomorrow, so get that fixed, then we'll get the footwell back together. I did already start the machine off camera. I've run it around a bit. When the charging system failed on the guy that I bought the machine from, he said it did overheat on him and boil over because the fan wasn't turning on because it had no power to turn on. So I did top off the cooling system, and I've been hot soaking it or heat cycling it a few times now just to try to get the fluid level correct. Currently we're right up at the max. When I start it and it warms up, it'll go up. It may boil over a few more times and push more coolant out, because I did fill the rad clear up into the filler neck, and originally I filled that bottle halfway between the minimum and maximum line. So it's purged a little bit of excess fluid out, but we'll see. We're going to start it and let it run for a little bit today too. I did charge the battery the other night, and seems the battery's holding a charge too, so that's good. I'd say it's probably high 40s, maybe low 50s out right now. Let's see if it'll start without the choke. I bet it will. Sure will. Oh. 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 Maybe a little choke, huh? We'll give her a little bit of choke. Let it warm up. So let it warm up. We'll ride it around the yard in a little bit. Oh, not that one. There we go, there's high. Cool. Well, there you guys have it. Runs, drives, charges, cools, everything it's supposed to at this point. Yeah, our overflow looks good. Sweet. We'll put that recoil rope on whenever it shows up, and she'll be for sale today, hopefully. Really do appreciate you guys watching. Sure to like, share, and subscribe.